ایشون دکتر دانشیار مغز و اعصاب در دانشکده پزشکی دانشگاه علوم پزشکی تگزاس در سان آنتونیو هستند و درجه پزشکی خودشون رو از دانشگاه نوآ جنوب شرقی در میامی فلوریدا دریافت کردند و سپس در رشته مغز و اعصاب دانشگاه کالج پزشکی فلوریدا تکمیل کردند دوره ای رو و پس از اون یک بورس پژوهشی در زمینه بیماری‌های مغزی و مراقبت‌های ویژه عصبی از همون دانشگاه رو دریافت کردند. دکتر بهروز به تنهایی و با دوستانشون بیش از 60 نشریه مقالاتی رو در مورد سکته مغزی، بیماری‌های مغزی مورد بررسی قرار دادن و اخیراً کتابی رو هم در مورد عوارض سکته حاد، اگر درست ترجمه کردم آقای دکتر بهروز، منتشر کردن. شما خودتون و اسلاید هاتون روی اسکرین هست الان آقای دکتر بهروز، بفرمایید.
Well, actually, I'm from Texas. I'm joining you from Texas. So, although I am from Florida originally, but I'm actually reside in Texas right now. So, before I begin, I just thank everyone at the Phoenix Project for allowing me the opportunity to be with you and, of course, accommodate you to this telepresence. It is truly an honor to be part of this esteemed group of scientists and intellectuals. My special gratitude is for His Highness Prince Reza, Jasmine, as well as Dr. Aloy Kangaroo, Dr. Kevin Rod, Dr. Armand Ash, and the rest of the wonderful people at the Phoenix Project. The purpose of this presentation is to provide you with an overview of how the healthcare system is operated in this revolutionary Iran. What are some of the shortcomings, and provide you with some ideas on what could be done to address them. Obviously, if we want to address all the idiosyncrasies of the healthcare system in Iran, we will be here for 3 days. If we want to address the idiosyncrasies of the U.S. healthcare system, we will be here for 5 days. So we will focus on one specific component of the healthcare system, and that is access. And we will dissect this particular topic within the realm of healthcare in Iran and look into the challenges and some of the opportunities. Equally difficult, of course, is formulating solutions or even theories for improvement of the healthcare system. Therefore, I submit to you that my presentation should merely serve to initiate a discussion, if you will, on this very complex topic. Suffice it to say that the healthcare is a complex enterprise, and the intricacies associated with this sector is not universal, and it's not exclusive to Iran. And virtually every nation grapples with this system. Some countries are more successful than others in dealing with it.
ببخشید آقای دکتر بهروز، میشه فاصلتون رو با میکروفون یا اگه کامپیوتر اسپیکر هستش توی یک فاصله نزدیکتر باشه و همون ثابت باشه؟
بهتر شد؟
حضار بهتر شد. اگه میشه هدست بذارین، اگه نه همون بله. خب ادامه بدین، فقط بکنم باید ثابت باشه فاصلتون با میکروفون. نزدیکتر هم باشین.
نزدیکتر بشم ببینید؟
بله الان بهتر شد. نزدیکتر بشین و ثابت باشه. مرسی.
خواهش. So, let me first get the disclosures out of the way. The contents of my presentation really do not reflect the views and opinions of my employer, University of Texas Science Center, or the University of Texas Health System. In this forum, I represent myself as an American citizen of Iranian descent. Almost all nations, as I mentioned before, grapple with the complex enterprise of healthcare, and Iran is certainly not an exception. Overall, and in all fairness, I should say that since the revolution, and compared to other sectors, the healthcare enterprise in Iran has done reasonably well. Not perfect, but it's okay. This is in spite of social political turmoil, economic difficulties, and of course, rapid population growth. What we need to understand before we begin talking about healthcare in Iran is to look at the bird's eye view of what what is the population distribution and demographics in Iran. You need to understand that Iran is a large country wherein demographics change rapidly. The population of Iran has more than doubled since the revolution, and while a large majority of the Iranians resided in rural areas before 1979, as a result of mass migration from rural areas to urban and suburban areas, it is now estimated that about 75% of Iranians live within domains that would be considered urban dwellings. Now, this movement to larger cities has not necessarily translated into access to healthcare. In fact, as a result of this mass migration, inner city slums have been formed with poor access to healthcare and substandard sanitary conditions. In order to better understand the healthcare in Iran, we need to go back in time and look at the revolutionary history and review some of the reforms that have taken place, some of the major ones. For start, almost immediately after the creation of the government, the Ministry of Health and Welfare merged into one single unit, and Social Security Organization went under this new ministry called the Ministry of Health and Welfare. In 1983, to ensure healthcare equity, National Healthcare Network was formed to provide care and access in rural areas. The little that they knew that the rural population has already begun the process of moving into urban dwelling. But it did help somewhat in closing the gap in terms of the healthcare disparity and the equity of the division of healthcare to a large extent. In 1985, there was a consolidation of healthcare services and medical education into a single ministry called the Ministry of Health and Medical Education. Finally, there was a creation of a government-sponsored indigent care organization that largely depends on donation. So these are all some of the examples of proposed reforms that took place over the years, primarily in the first decade after the formation of the Islamic Republic. We will examine some of these transformations and see how they impacted the overall access to healthcare. Let us look at the general overview of the healthcare system in Iran. The healthcare in Iran is both public and private. Ultimately, all of that conglomerate of healthcare, if you will, is controlled by the government. Public institutions, by and large, provide primary care at a lower cost. Private institutions are more expensive and provide more specialized care. Non-governmental organizations exist as the NGOs that are disease specific. Services such as cancer, diabetes, etc. Of course, this is a fee-for-service system, and you get what you pay for. So it is not surprising that people receive higher quality care at a higher cost. The system is also insurance-based. In other words, the provision of health care, including access and delivery, are driven by insurance organizations. In that respect, the government has become the provider and the consumer of healthcare simultaneously. So when we speak of healthcare access, it is almost impossible not to factor in insurance companies and speak of exactly who pays for that care. There are four different insurance organizations in Iran. All are government sponsored. There's a Social Security Insurance Organization that provides coverage to employees of the private sector. It is wage-based, but the government does contribute about 50% of the premium. And it currently provides coverage to nearly 25 million Iranians. There's a Medical Services Insurance Organization which covers government employees and indigents in rural areas, and it covers about 35 million. The Imdan organization provides health care to a reasonable degree for the very indigent, and its revenue comes mainly from donations and some government contributions. And of course, we have the Armed Forces Insurance Organization that covers military, and this is supplied by 4 million. And then there are private insurance companies that cover what the government-sponsored entities do not, such as dental work, certain surgeries, eyeglasses, etc. An example is Iran or they Austria. All of these are overseen by a higher insurance council, شورای عالی بیمه, which finds its way somehow to the government through a central insurance organization of the Islamic Republic, and then of course the government itself. It is a quintessential model of socialized medicine where the government controls the bulk of the healthcare enterprise. But if you have money, then there are private clinics where you can receive better quality of care, of course. It's not completely socialized medicine. The government sponsored system seems to work depending on whom you ask, but it is generally too complex for its own good. And there are several flaws within the insurance system in Iran, and some of which I've listed according to a survey-based review. First and foremost, there's a rising healthcare expenditure, which we'll expand upon in subsequent slides. For now, suffice it to say that the imprudent and excessive utilization of expensive technologies led to this. Why? Because there's no oversight. There's the lack of an oversight body to regulate technologies and issue guidelines with regard to its utilization. There's generally an imbalance between the government, what government calculates as per capita health expenditure, and what is budgeted as subsidies provided by the government, the latter being much lower. So therefore, insurance organizations usually oftentimes find themselves in financial burden, financial trouble. Furthermore, the multiplicity and perhaps redundancy of management of these organizations has paradoxically rendered them very much ineffectual. Lastly, even in the face of charity organizations and the multiplicity of insurance organizations that are sponsored by the government, there are still approximately 10% of Iranians who remain uninsured. So we talked about the complexity and multiplicity of insurance organizations and the fact that their management is difficult as is, and then this is basically they're encountering a situation where they have to come to a consensus. This becomes quite problematic, especially for the patient and the doctor. So how can we get this under control, or at least improve the efficiency of this current system? The key is here is simplification, and that was probably the way it was handled prior to revolution. It's just what happened after the revolution, that there was this urgency to provide healthcare for everybody, and especially increase the outreach to rural areas. That the complexity just built upon itself and turned into this giant that is essentially hard to control. There should be consolidation of various government-sponsored insurance organizations. This will in turn reduce conflict of interest between organizations. The source of revenue for these organizations will become more uniform and standard. Situation in which there is dual or overlapping coverage should be eliminated. Non-governmental employees should have the option of forging contracts with private insurance companies to maximize access to care. And for government employees, the ministry under which the individual is working should be responsible for provision of insurance, not the government as a whole. The only scenario currently where this scheme is being implemented is the Ministry of Defense, where the armed forces, whoever is employed as a uniform officer or not, as a civilian, will be their insurance will be provided by the Ministry of Defense, but not as by the government under the umbrella of the central organization of insurance providers. Moving to cost and expenditure, which is undeniably a major driving factor with respect to access. There has been an exponential increase in healthcare expenditure in the past 2 to 3 decades. You see from this table from 1995 to 2008, expenditure related to healthcare has increased by 25-fold. The per capita healthcare expenditure that the cabinet estimates is always inaccurate and results in a deficit for insurance organizations, and ultimately the government has to bail them out, which it often does. When you underestimate the cost, then down the road you're faced with serious financial difficulties for the insurance organization, as well as for hospitals and doctors not getting paid because the insurance organization is not paying them. There's also delayed reimbursement for hospitals and doctors, taking months for these providers to receive reimbursement. We mentioned that high-cost technologies, including pharmaceuticals, have no oversight body to assess their proper utilization. This leads, of course, to indiscriminate and imprudent use of these technologies, and then the bill is sent, of course, to the insurance organization. So one of the most crucial ways of reducing cost and expenditure is to regulate the use of these technologies, designating a utilization review board to come up with guidelines for proper use of these services. Conversely, and as astonishingly as it sounds, there are situations where the insurance companies deny payment because they simply can't afford it, afford the cost of that particular service or technology, including pharmaceuticals, such as chemotherapeutics. In these situations, the patient who really needs the service is left having to pay the cost. So proper utilization should be the determinant of covering a particular service, not whether or not the insurance organization is able to afford that particular service. The other factor that increases cost is associated with the operations of private hospitals, where, of course, as I mentioned before, there's better quality of care, less wait time, and also all of this is at a higher cost. This is again the quintessential, the archetypal fee-for-service plan, where the hospital and the provider supposedly have complete autonomy in setting the cost for a particular service. So there's no oversight body to standardize cost for a particular service, medical service that is provided to the patient. So basically, what the patient is being charged is at the mercy of the hospital administration, or what the physician charges. So the way to address this is that it is indeed crucial to form a specialized task force, or should a specialized task force. I should address it this way: a specialized task force should be formed now or in the future to designate and oversee this discrepancy and try to standardize costs for particular services. But since there's no oversight committee to assess the utilization of technologies and services, it is hard to imagine that such a task force that would standardize costs ever before. In terms of calculating the capital healthcare expenditure, this is very difficult, especially when a country faces a fluctuating economy with inflation rates that are unpredictable. Once the expenditure surpasses what has been budgeted for, the insurance organization is drained, and the government, as I said, has to bail them out and pay the debt. This happens almost every year in Iran. There's really no simple solution to this, given the current circumstances. If the system that has been created is for the government to have control over everything, then they need to, it's almost they should also be at the receiving end of the problems that arise as a result of this control. Just a side note: in 2015, Mr. Rouhani came up with the Rouhani Care, inspired by Obamacare, which occurred in the United States. This added yet another appendage to the already to the octopus of the insurance organizations that are controlled by the government in Iran. Adding this particular component, or this healthcare called Sazman Bime Salamat Iran, is in lieu of cutting the subsidies that were once implemented by Ahmadinejad. As a result, a supplementary government-sponsored insurance organization called Health Insurance, or Sazman Bime Salamat Iran, would make a lump sum contribution per person each month. And this worked well for a while. I mean, essentially it was a band-aid on the failing healthcare system in Iran. It reduced out-of-pocket costs to the patient by about 31% and ostensibly reduced corruption and bribery in the healthcare sector. Of course, certain regime-aligned analysts working for several news outlets praised the president for his wisdom in coming up with this plan, but there were several problems with it. This insurance plan was essentially funded through 1% value-added tax and 10% state from the cut in subsidies that occurred after Rouhani became president. It, however, became unsustainable over time simply because it was very expensive and the management was paid for. It resulted to large debt to hospitals and doctors with the lag time in terms of reimbursement extended up to 2 years. It also placed a significant burden on physicians and nurses in terms of the volume of work and duty hours, which ultimately led to protests by nurses in front of the parliament, as well as Mr. Rouhani's office. So I submit to you that this system that Rouhani created is fading into oblivion because it was just not sustainable, and it caused a lot of problems in terms of the manpower and the workforce. And of course, these people who work hard with the additional duty hours and additional responsibilities and expectations that were placed upon them, they were not getting paid on time.
Dr. Behrouz, 2 more minutes.
National Health Network actually did help in reducing the disparities in terms of access to healthcare between rural and urban domains. It was one of the early reforms or early initiatives that was launched by the post-revolutionary government. The plan was implemented in 1983. There are almost exclusively these so-called healthcare networks are almost exclusively limited to primary care, and they have limited access to specialized care or attention by specialists due to a very poor referral system, which has been poor and remains. And there is a hierarchical structure where the initial care happens in built houses, where staffed by a medical technician or what they call behbar. And for more complex problems, they are sent to rural health centers. That are staffed by physicians and nurses. Usually, the physicians are interns or newly graduates in medical students or post-residency physicians. And they do this. They do this for the most part as part of their social service obligations. The network has, to a reasonable extent, eliminated geographic disparities. However, one of the major problems has been poor referral system, resulting from a structural disconnection, in addition to the disruption of information flow and continuity of care. As a result, patients often self-refer to specialists in larger urban areas and essentially bypass these networks that provide the primary care for patients. Or initially, the gatekeeper for provision of health care on patients' initial encounter, which is exactly what happened after the 2005 implementation of the Rural Area Family Physician Program, because the gatekeeping paradigm was never properly enforced.
Dr. Behrouz, 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes.
Okay. For population less than 2,000, it was initially very successful, but because of poor overall management, corruption, and more importantly, a non-existent referral system, it failed. Let me, since I don't have that much time in terms of, let me skip a couple of slides and get to some of the opportunities to access. First, the perception that underserved area is limited to rural domains needs to be dispelled. As I said, there are areas in fringes of inner cities that have little or no access to healthcare. For improvement in continuity of care and proper flow of information from one center to another, internet-based electronic medical record has done reasonably well in the United States, Canada, and Europe, and of course has found its way into the Middle Eastern countries, especially the Arab countries and the southern shore of the Persian Gulf. And it's been a lifesaver because you can share information with a specialist, and that will facilitate referral. And then, of course, the proper implementation of the family physician program we already talked about. Discretion of referring to specialists should be that of the primary care physician, and in so doing, you can place a limit on self-referral, and of course, there needs to be regulatory mechanisms to address corruption, which is easier said than done. I will skip the last part of it because of the limitation in time, and I just want to go to the last slide that just give you an overall picture. So the system is fragmented in terms of financial resources as well as leadership. There's this very complex monster that has been created in terms of what entity pays for the provision of healthcare, and this, without any question, has access to healthcare, because Iran's healthcare is an insurance-based system. There's disparity between private and public services. In other words, we're dealing with a socialized healthcare system where on the side, on the fringes, people can go to a private entity or private institution and get whatever they want if they have the cash. Complexity of and multiplicity of the health insurance. I can't emphasize this more. It just needs to be simplified. There's lack of evidence-based guidelines and universal protocols, which is just it's a problem in and of itself.
Thank you.
That nobody addresses it. And of course, the referral system is inefficient, and it could be somewhat alleviated and remedied by implementation of electronic medical records. And with that,
Thank you.
I conclude this talk. There was some part that I was going to talk about, but with the interest of time, I would skip that, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Kaverad. Thank you. Dr. Kaverad is here, and he has a comment or question for you.
Yes, of course.
خیلی متشکرم آقای دکتر، خیلی استفاده کردیم از این توضیحاتی که دادید. من سوال ندارم، فقط یک کامنتی می‌خواستم بدم در مورد تمرکز گروه ققنوس در مورد قسمت پزشکی. همونجور که آقای دکتر توضیح دادن، در ایران ما یک سیستم فرگمنتد داریم، سیستم پزشکی فرگمنتدی داریم که این سیستم در بعضی از جاها خوب کار میکنه، در بعضی از قسمت‌ها خوب کار نمیکنه. بعضی از دانشکده‌های پزشکی خیلی کوالیتی بالا و عالی دارن، در بعضی از جاهای دیگه ممکنه که اون حد از کوالیتی رو نداشته باشن. ماجرا بر این اساس هستش که زمانی که کسی بیمار میشه و به بیمارستان یا در درمانگاهی مراجعه میکنه، نمیتونه دچار این نگرانی باشه که آیا اون فسیلیتی در حد اکثر استاندارد هستش یا نه، آیا اون پزشک یا اون پیراپزشک در حد اکثر تخصص هستش یا نه. انسان جون خودش رو با تمام اعتمادش در اختیار اون سیستم میذاره و در ازای اون سیستم احتیاج داره که به بهترین سرویس دسترسی داشته باشه. در نتیجه برای رسیدگی به همچین سیستمی، تمرکز گروه ما الان در این گروه ققنوس، پروژه ققنوس ایران، پیدا کردن راه حل برای این هستش که ما تعیین بکنیم ستون‌هایی رو که هلت‌کر بر روش قرار گرفته. خب هلت‌کر روی چی قرار گرفته؟ خدمات بهداشتی و درمانی بر روی یه سری ستون‌های قرار گرفته. یک، آموزش کادر پزشکی و پیراپزشکی در حد بالای استاندارد، نه تنها در حد پایین استاندارد و خود استاندارد، در حد بالای استاندارد. دسترسی به بیمارستان‌ها و مراکز درمانی در حد بالای استاندارد، دسترسی به داروها و وسایل پزشکی در حد استاندارد. کنترل کیفیت که تمام داستانی که صحبت می‌کنیم نهایتاً برمیگرده به این. دسترسی و اکسس تمام افراد به صورت یکسان به خدمات بهداشتی و درمانی و بعد نهایتاً آموزش سالم زیستن از دوران کودکی، یعنی یک فرهنگ سالم زیستن و نهایتاً طب پیشگیری. خب اینا پیلارها، اینا ستونهایی هستن، 6 یا 7 ستون اصلی هستن که پزشکی هر کشوری بر روی اینا قرار میگیره. ولی چرا تفاوت وجود داره در یک درمانگاه تا یک بیمارستان فوق تخصصی؟ در ایران بیمارستان فوق تخصصی وجود داره که حتی خیلی ممکنه از وسایلی که درش هست در جای دیگه نباشه. در همون نیبرهود ممکنه یه درمانگاهی وجود داشته باشه که کسی جرئت نکنه پاشو توش بذاره. چرا این تفاوت وجود داره؟ این مسئله فقط پوله؟ مسئله اصلی تعیین استاندارد هستش، یعنی تعیین استاندارد نوشته شده که بدونیم استاندارد اف پرکتیس چی هست یک، و بعد ایمپلمنت شدن اون استاندارد. در اینجا چه تفاوتی داره که در کانادا با فرض بکنید وضعی که الان در ایران داریم این هست که سازمان نظام پزشکی که الان در ایران هست اون کاری که کالج های پزشکان و جراحان استان های کانادا انجام میدن انجام نمیدن. کالج اف فیزیشن سرجنز اف اونتاریو به صورت مستقل عمل میکنه، سیستم بازرسی سیستم مستقله، یعنی وزیر بهداری نمیتونه بیاد بگه نه این بیمارستان کارش خوبه، به خاطر اینکه بازرسی به دست بازرسان مستقل انجام میشه. کارکرد تمام دانشگاه هایی که میخواد کادر پزشکی پیراپزشکی خوب رو تربیت کنه، دسترسی به بودجه هایی که میتونه تمام داروها و وسایل پزشکی رو تولید بکنه و یا وارد بکنه، دسترسی تمام افراد به این خدمات درمانی بستگی به بودجه داره. بودجه ها باید وابسته به کنترل کیفیت باشن. اگه سیستم کنترل کیفیتی وجود نداشته باشه، یعنی ورودی پول به این دانشگاه برای تربیت دانشجوها باید وابسته به ارزیابی و کنترل کیفیت باشه از خروجی اونها. نمیشه یک دانشکده پزشکی 100 تا دانشجو واردش بشن، هر 100 تا فارغ التحصیل بشن. در اکثر جاهای دنیا به این شکل نیست. معمولاً به این ترتیب هستش که کیفیت ثابت میشه، فرد فارغ التحصیل میشه. بعد از فارغ التحصیل شدن هر چند سال یک بار، هر سال و هر چند سال یک بار به گونه‌های مختلف کنترل کیفیت چک میشه. اون چه که ما آرزو داریم که بتونیم با کمک همه همیهنانمون انجام بدیم تعیین استاندارد پرکتیس است و کنترل کیفیت به صورت مکرر هست. کنترل کیفیتی هستش که مستقله، نه از طریق همون سازمانی که داره خدمات ارائه بده. به قول معروف میگن هیچ کس نمیگه ماست منطور شه. باید بازرس مستقل باشه، بازرس باید قدرت این رو داشته باشه که بتونه تعیین بکنه که ورودی سرمایه برای گردوندن تمام این کارها فقط و فقط وقتی خواهد بود که اونا بتونن کنترل کیفیت رو ثابت کنن. بفرمایید. فکر کنم شما سوالم من دارین یا دکتر بهروز؟
یه سوالی جلو داریم بعد میدم بهشون.
خیلی مرسی از صحبتتون، خیلی جالب بود دکتر بهروز. میخواستم ببینم که آیا این شرکت‌های بیمه که شما بهشون اشاره کردین آمار جمع میکنن درباره بیماری‌های مردم و اگر جمع میکنن میشه به این آمارا دسترسی پیدا کرد؟
If I may, I will answer this in English. The simple answer is, the short answer is no, they don't. That's the job of universities and epidemiologists. Some of the information may be used by these healthcare or these insurance organizations, but overall it doesn't lead to anything substantive, because at the end of the day, what is really sets a standard for these insurance organizations is the cost of and the expenditure, and who's going to pay for it and what service are they going to be paying for. So to answer your question, it's there are the data is collected, of course, in every university. I mean, in terms of the epidemiology or whether the access that is being implemented. In fact, my talk was partially based on a publication publication that actually listed the problems with insurance organizations. And one of the major problems and challenges that we face in terms of this complex structure of insurance organization is that they really don't pay attention to data. What is the determinant of how they budget? Because the people who sit in that panel are not necessarily physicians or researchers. At the end of the day, what they want to do is determine what's the budget for and how much. So really, and they're always wrong because of the fluctuating economy and the inflation and everything. So it's never accurate, and they have little use for data. So I don't know if I confuse you with my answer, but overall, if I were to give you a short answer, it would be no.
من یه تقریبا کامنت و سوال بود، ولی الان سوالی که شما فرمودین به نظر من در ایران دیتا جمع میشه، منتها مشکلش اینه دیتایی که جمع میشه استفاده نمیشه. یعنی دیتا هست ولی استفاده نمیشه. حالا در طرح تحول سلامت 4 تا استانی که پایلوت تمام دیتا الکترونیک داره جمع میشه. یعنی یه سیستم خیلی، شما ببینید پتانسیل ایران، من دو نکته تاکید میکنم، در اون شبکه‌های بهداشتی که در اون 4 تا استان هستن سیستم الکترونیک و کامپیوترایی دارن که در نیویورک نیست. یعنی بسیار عالی کامپیوترهای شیک، وایرلس، بهترین مارکا خریداری شده هست، ولی مشکل اینه که حالا که این دیتا جمع میشه چوری تاثیر میذاره رو سیاست، اونجا کانکت نیست. من سوالی که داشتم از خدمت شما برای این که میخواستم یه کمی چالش کنیم در واقع، ببینید به نظر شما آیا واقعی میاد که ما مثلا دسترسی به خدمات بهداشتی درمانی در یک کشوری مثل ایران در شهر یک کوچیک با نیروی انسانی محدوده همون جور باشه که در یک شهر بزرگ با نیروی متخصص و فوق تخصصی و مراکز دانشگاهی یکسان بشه؟ چون یه جا ما بحث میکنیم که یک بیسیس اکسس، یه دسترسی پایه‌ای داشته باشیم که همونجوری که فرمودن دوست عزیزمون در پرزنتیشن خیلی شیواشان، این سیستم شبکه داره و ما میبینیم خروجی سیستم شبکه در قیاس با کشورهایی که از لحاظ جمعیت و درآمد مثل ایرانه عالی بوده. یعنی کاهش مرگ و میر مادران، کاهش مرگ و میر کودکان، اینا عالی بوده و سیستم شبکه هم چیزی نبوده که تازه باشه. 1973 تا 78 پایلوت شده، بعد گسترش پیدا کرده، 83 اجرا شده. حالا سوال من اینه، آیا واقعیه به نظر شما که اگه اینه بخوایم بگیم در سراسر ایران در تمام مناطق دسترسی به خدمات با کیفیت بالا یک جا باشه؟ اگر هست کجای دنیا داریم که این کار کرده باشه با شرایطی مثل ایران؟
It's a difficult question. I really don't. Is it possible to have the same infrastructure distributed evenly in smaller and larger urban areas and rural areas? In theory, yes, but it's easier said than done. Even in the United States, there's difficulty with that. So much that smaller hospital in rural areas not provide all the services that are essentially this can tend to very minor emergencies and nothing else. So, for example, as a stroke specialist, they need to be flown by helicopter to receive that kind of a service, and implement that in Iran, in a country like Iran, at this time, is not possible.
Thank you so much, Dr. Behrouz.